Difference between what we consider pets and farmed animals.
Living with roosters is, for me, it's kind of going against the grain. People think that they're aggressive, that they're unnecessary. When I tell people I rescue roosters, people are like, what? What do you do? They're holding a sign and they say homeless and you go pick them up?
These animals to me are not food, and I don't want them to continue to be looked at that way. Okay, you ready? Okay. Oh my goodness gracious. Come here. Oh. Well, now we both have it on us.
We live with them under the same roof. We see them first thing in the morning and we put them to bed at night. All right, charge!
The animals are worth saving because they are no different than the dogs that we will do anything for.
They feel happiness, they feel sadness, I mean, they feel pleasure, they feel pain. They're just like you and I, really.
Every day, here's our routine. Usually about a half-hour walk we take every day.
The reality is that there are certain industries that gain by the suffering of animals that are very large, and they have a disproportionate influence at the legislature.
I think they're one of the most beautiful creatures on the planet. And they're also the most exploited creatures on the planet.
Every time you sit down to eat, you're able to decide whether you want to support this factory farming industry or vote against it.
It gets me out of bed every morning. It makes me fight harder for them. A lot of these animals came from very bad places. They have to take time to heal and to trust again.
It's inevitable that this will be a horrific chapter that people recoil at.
They have feelings, they relate to me talking to them. I could never eat meat again.
Like us, they bring a unified psychological presence to the world. Like us, they are some bodies, not some things.
Hi, thank you. My name is Samuel Sprinsanatic, and I am a documentary filmmaker. Kindred Creatures is my first feature-length documentary. It's a 70-minute film about animals. It's about chickens and cows and pigs and their personalities. I spent 3.5 years going to different farm animal sanctuaries to find these stories, and I mean, it kind of changed me what I found, and so I was really excited to put this film out there so that other people could see this as well. Yeah, they have personalities, they have bonds they share with humans, they have bonds they share with each other. They're just like our dogs and our cats. And yeah, it's my biggest passion project. It's something that I've worked, like I said, years for, and it's finally on iTunes. You can buy it or rent it. Yeah, thank you.
I make a Chicken Run reference at least twice a month, so I appreciated seeing that on there. Just wait for it. It comes when you least expect it. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. My name is Kayla, and I am your MC today. Yeah, there's also a dog in the audience, so I really appreciate that support. All right, so who here is this your first time? Anybody? Oh, I see some hands. Oh, welcome. We're so happy to have you. All right, for all you returning folks, too, we want to make sure that you check into our app. And the new folks, too, download this thing and check in with us. We won't, stalk you or anything. We just want to make sure we know who's here. So we also want to thank our sponsors. 1 Million Cups is brought to you by these people and viewers like you. Thank you. But if you see any of these folks in the audience, make sure to thank them as well. Why are we here? What is 1 Million Cups? We are a free weekly program where we bring entrepreneurs and people in the community together so we can interact with one another, share our ideas, maybe get our own ideas, all those kinds of things. So we want to make sure that we change the face of our community over 1 million cups of coffee, because coffee brings us all together. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to see if we have any community announcements. Also, I just look at that side. Remember to use hashtag 1MCND if you have any questions. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. If you're too nervous to ask questions, we'll do it for you. All right, so we're going to do some community announcements now. Make sure you say your name and who you're with so we know who you are, and then we can find your slide.
My name is Kirsten Berger. I'm with North Dakota Women's Business Center and CTB. I do their marketing. CTB and North Dakota Women's Business Center helps entrepreneurs start and grow their businesses. We train professionals and we enhance the entrepreneurial environment through different networking opportunities. So on Tuesday, we have a Business Builders Workshop, which is put on in conjunction with our SBA resource partners down here. We're having Scott McCarthy from Silicon Plains come over and teach us about cybersecurity. So if you're interested in that, if you have a business, it's a great thing to learn about because a lot of small businesses are under, I guess, cyber threat. They're easy to take advantage of. So we just want to promote businesses and make sure that everybody's doing that safely. So thank you for your time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cameron Fleck with New Vision Security. Since everybody's asking, I had an ice fall, slipped on the ice, broke my leg about 7 weeks ago. So that's the story of here why I'm on crutches. But we specialize in electronic security, key card access, camera systems, alarm systems, and we are excited just moving into our 5th year here. We are moving locations up by Legacy High School on Hamilton Street, and I invite you all and your friends to check in on Facebook, on our Facebook page. On February 27th from 4 to 6, we are having our ribbon cutting and an open house for people to come wander around. We'll have Laughing Sun there, having some beer. Everybody likes beer, so that's good. We'll be giving away gift cards every 30 minutes and a 4K 55-inch TV at the event, so come on by, enjoy some food, some beer, and have some fun. Thanks.
I'm Mackenzie. I'm with Northern Plains Dance. I'm here to invite you to our performance February 28th and 29th. We're doing Dance Plus at the Belle Mayhews. If you haven't been to it, or if you've been to like the Nutcracker or something, this is something totally different. A very wise woman who might be in the audience today described it as, it's kind of like the TEDx of dance. Think short, powerful pieces that convey a story. We bring in choreographers from all over the place. This year we have New York, Connecticut, somebody from Atlanta came for the first time this year, and then our faculty members do pieces for it as well. And then they pair with local artists, also one of which might be in the room today. Might be the same person that said TEDx, but anyway, we invite you all to come. We have 3 performances, 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and I highly recommend it to everyone. It's technically our favorite thing we do each year, so.
Perfect. A short, powerful piece is how I would describe myself.
Before I hop on stage, I just want to make a quick announcement for Make Well. We have our 4th annual event coming up next Saturday on Leap Day. Our theme this year is Taking the Leap, so we have our featured speakers, Justin Walsh, going to talk about when to take the leap, when not to take the leap, and so we just want to invite you to that. It's next Saturday. Tickets are on sale until next Tuesday, and if you're looking for a good time, if you want to meet people like you guys in the audience here today, we want to invite you.
This is so indicative of who you are, Ashton. She's like, I'm going to present, but I also have to sub-present. It's like presentception. Okay. So in my family, we don't get to see each other a lot, and when we do, we really want to make sure we connect, and so we always make sure we say 3 words to one another. What's the plan? Because we are very nervous people, and so we want to know what's coming. However, we're also very disorganized, so it's kind of a curse. Luckily, I have been introduced by the universe to the most organized person on the planet. So just about like a block that way, there's some giant windows that say the good kids, and that's a different story for a different time, possibly this stage. But so that's where I'm working with a bunch of other creatives, and just adjacent to me is Ashton and it was just a very short while ago. I came into the office and she was like, had the energy where I'm like, oh, she's making something. Because she's always scheming and dreaming, and so we did the kind of like, what did you do yesterday? What's going on? And then she was like, okay, I have been trying to find the perfect planner for ages, and none of them quite like add up. And so she said her husband was like, well, why don't you just make your own? And it was like this big explosion. And then from then on, she just was like, yeah, I'm going to do that, which is pretty admirable. So this little idea just evolved really crazily and quickly into the daily spread that is at the core of Evertide. So you know her from many a thing, and she's going to tell you all about it. It is Ashton.
Thanks, Kayla. It's an honor to be introduced by one of my coworkers. That's really cool, and to have Sam here. He's part of the Make Well community, so super special morning. Excited to be back on the stage. Today I'm here to talk about a 3-month daily planner called Evertide. But first, I want to just confront the elephant in the room. You may recognize me from other hats that I have worn. I worked at CoSchedule for 4 years as a graphic designer. Love that team, love working on the app that they have. I also started Make Well in 2017, which is a community for makers. So really got connected and plugged into a lot of you in the room today. And then like Kayla said, about a year ago now, I left my job at CoSchedule to really take the leap into full-time design at The Good Kids, and so that's where I've been the last year. But today, I have a whole different project to share with you. And it's kind of funny because, as you can imagine, I wasn't setting out to start something else or to make something else, but I guess as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. So this quote was just so perfect for me because I wasn't trying to do anything new, but I had a problem. I had a problem in my own life, and oftentimes that's how so many businesses begin. Businesses like Airbnb, businesses like CoSchedule, and so today that's my story. So what is my problem? My problem was that I used tools like CoSchedule to manage my work life, my projects. I use Google Calendar super heavily to manage my events, my conferences, my meetings. And then I had several different apps to manage my meal planning, my goal setting, all sorts of things like that to kind of bring that personal growth into my life. So my problem is that I had all these separate tools, but I didn't have something to combine them. So that's where I sought out to look for a planner. And I'm sure most of you are probably similar to me, where at the end of the year you look for your new planner. For me, I had a pro-con list, because like Kayla said, I had so many planners that I had tried that were 90% perfect for me. And so the reason I was having issues was because most planners have weekly layouts instead of daily layouts. And for me as an entrepreneur, managing every single second of my time is money, I needed something to really optimize every single day. Most planners are either completely weekly or completely daily. There are daily planners out there, but there aren't some that have both. And there are things that I wanted to manage weekly, like my meal planning, daily habits, things like that, that I couldn't get in other planners. Most daily layouts they have too many options or wasted space. So I get this large planner and I would only fill out half the page, and even though I had a successful day, it would leave me feeling really, really disappointed in myself because I didn't use the planner to its fullest potential. I looked into entrepreneur-focused planners, but those are really focused on the goal setting and the reflection, and every week they would have this whole spread about journaling, and I just don't have the time for that. Most planners are too large. I needed something that was a little bit smaller and portable because I drive a moped in the summer. I'm off meeting to meeting, so I needed something that was a little bit more easy to use. And as a designer, I really judge the aesthetics of a planner, the cover, the page, how do things look. A lot of planners have crazy patterns, and I just wanted something simple. I also needed something that was effective, and to have a daily planner, usually that costs around $50 to $150 annually, depending which one you get. And so if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want to make sure that it's something that fits my lifestyle. So as Kayla mentioned as well, I was kind of going through this pro-con list with my husband late December, trying to pull the trigger on our planner, and he just said, why don't you just make your own? And to me, that was like the most blunt aha moment I think I've ever had in my life, because all of this was just sitting inside of me, and I knew, like, why wouldn't I make my own? I have the skill set, I'm a graphic designer, I'm just gonna do this. So my challenge to kind of correct those issues and problems that I was facing with other planners was to make a planner focused on the daily, focused on organization every single day. I needed to have some sort of combination weekly and daily, but I needed to make sure it's not repetitive because nobody wants to waste their time. I needed to have a daily layout that's intentional and effective. I didn't want to have anything on the page, no pixel, that goes unused or makes me feel disappointed in my day. I also needed to find the magic spot between journaling and planning. Reflection is great. I love reflection. I love goal setting, but I was designing a planner, not a journal. I also wanted to make something that's durable, portable, and lightweight. I didn't need something big and bulky. I needed something easy for on the go. And as a designer, I wanted to style something that's simple, minimal, and sophisticated, so it's something that I'm proud of carrying around with me. And lastly, I wanted to make sure it was something that was affordable. I knew that if I was going to design a planner for me, that I couldn't just go out and get the most fancy planner out there. I needed to make sure that it was affordable for what I was looking for, but yet look premium and feel premium. So I shared it online. I just posted on Instagram. I was excited about this planner, and I had no idea what was to come, not at all, no intentions. But instantly people were asking me, are you selling these? I want one. I'd buy this. Just so many people reached out, and so I quickly kind of took a step back and asked myself what I should do next. And so suddenly I entered this process. On December 28th, I shared that on Instagram and got the response. I quickly kind of gathered all of those responses and interests into a beta group to test this out and see if that is something that it might work on January 4th. And then throughout the month of January, I did all the product research to make sure that this is something that would be possible. So a little bit about my beta group. I had 27 participants. 21 of them were female and 6 were male. And naturally, most of them were entrepreneurs or had side hustles because that's kind of the community of people that I surround myself with. And then we tested a full month of January. So I quickly designed a planner. I got it printed locally. I shipped it out. And together, we did it for the month of January. And I also sent out weekly surveys so I could kind of track their progress and ask about the benefits and things that they're seeing or the problems. What could be better? So through the course of January, I found that overall planner usage increased by 20%. We had people that had never been consistent with the planner to people that loved their planner. And so overall, it was really exciting to see 20% increase. 60% of the participants ordered the February-March editions. So that was really encouraging as well. They wanted to stick with it. And then when I did those orders, I noticed that 88% of the orders came from female entrepreneurs, people like myself. And so that was my first indicator as to who my target audience should be. All right, so while this is happening, I was just head down at the office doing a lot of product research because I knew nothing about the planner industry. But through a lot of deep diving, I found that most 90-day planners range in $40 to $60. These aren't planners that you find at Target or Walmart. These are planners that are focused, they're for entrepreneurs, and so naturally people pay a higher price for them. I found a local printer. I looked near and far, and I was excited to find a printer here in Bismarck that could print the planner. Registered the business, got my sales tax permit. That's new to me. And then I jumped in the design process. This is what I know and love, and so it was exciting to design a brand that's really targeted at kind of that lady boss, female entrepreneur audience. And then for most of you in the room, I consulted about pricing, packaging, and shipping, all new worlds to me. And then from that information, I was able to strategize this pre-order campaign. So I made a 7-day campaign, announced the brand, getting orders, really getting people excited about the product. And I launched that exactly a week ago today. So without further ado, this is Evertide. It's a 3-month daily planner. It has a hardcover blue-gray color with a copper coil binding. And right here, this is the daily spread that's kind of the heartbeat of the planner. This lets you organize everything from your from your to-do list, your schedule, but also brings in an element of mindfulness. So it's a planner that's easy to carry around, intentionally designed and modern in style. So here are kind of the 3 phases of how I see this planner happening. I'm in phase 1 currently, where it's a hardcover planner with that coil binding. It's priced at $39, and I had a goal of reaching 100 pre-orders by the end of today, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to do quarterly campaigns and then sell just a couple extra in between so that I'm having less risk up front. And then I'm just going to use my very kind family and friend fulfillment services. Phase 2, I would love to update the planner just one step further into a flat lay perfect bound planner with a fabric bookmark, so more like a book. I'd have to decide what that price point would be, but it would have a goal of selling 50 per month. And in order to do that, I have to sell it online like it currently is, but also on Amazon and select local retailers as well. So for fulfillment, I would need to either contract some folks or use Amazon. Some future ideas, if this thing really takes off, which would be really exciting, is to create an exterior binding to hold the planner. If they have that exterior, they're more likely to stick with it. And in order to do that, I could create fillable products. So that could be the daily pages, that could be tabs, bookmarks, kind of breaks in the planner. So with that, I've seen a lot of planners do subscription boxes, whether that's monthly, 6 months, or a year, where they create these products and they can ship it out every single month. Another couple ideas would be to do a non-dated version. This would be a little bit easier as far as ordering, and then a letter size edition for those that want it to be slightly larger. So today, it's been kind of a whirlwind of 2 months, so I'm really excited to get your advice. I'd love to learn better ways to reach my niche audience. I'd love to explore other vendors so I could get that unit price down. Printing locally is great, but it's also expensive. And then I'd love to hear about a plan B if I can't hit that pre-order goal. So some of the ideas that I've had is to order minimum quantity and just split even, try to building an audience. I could order the planners, but with a non-dated version so that there's more of a lifespan to each planner instead of ordering a spring planner and then after that it's not usable. I could just order, or I could just refund my customers and say thanks for the support, but that'd be really sad. And then I could also kind of wait it out and do like a huge relaunch at the end of the year, because planner season is around October, November. So unfortunately the timing's just not perfect. So I could kind of build up the audience and relaunch then. But I just wanted to leave you with this. Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. I don't know what the end of today looks like. I don't know if I'm going to hit my goal, but I just set out to solve a problem in my own life. And as an entrepreneur, you kind of hit these highs and lows, but I think it's super encouraging to just know that we're in this together, that we're a community, and so taking that step is what matters, and the process is what's encouraging. So if you'd like to get your hands on an Evertide planner, pre-orders end tonight at midnight, so you can just go to evertide.co and get your planner. I'm excited to hear questions.
Okay. So if you have a question, raise your hand. It looks like we have Tyler over there. Yep. And we'll just, we'll have I'm excited to sit down with you. I even painted my nails for this.
Ooh, way to go, Kayla.
I smudged them already.
Is that your daily habit?
Okay, yeah, this is my first question for you, because I am really bad at creating habits. So when I started with the Good Kids, you guys have been really good at being like, okay, here's how you create a habit. So, I mean, you don't have to convince me about the advantages of paper over digital. Ashton's always telling me about apps, and I'm like, oh. So with something like this, what is the advantage of having that physical object in front of you to write things down? And maybe if somebody's never really taken like the time to use something like this, how could they really get into creating that habit, into using it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, first off, I'm a huge proponent of digital tools. I heavily use Google Calendar and CoSchedule, like I said, so I'm definitely not proposing that everyone ditches their kind of online scheduling tool, because it's so nice to have that like on your phone in the middle of a meeting. But the benefit, at least for me, and I think there's studies out there too, is when you have something that you physically write down, your to-do list or your goal, it's like you're 50% more likely to get it done. So having something where you can kind of reflect on that and write it down, I think it encourages, you're just setting yourself up for success by writing it down.
question I have, Ashton. You didn't. I didn't hear what was behind the Evertide name. How did you come up with a name for it?
Yeah, so as a brand designer, you'd think that would be easy, but actually branding yourself and things that you do is the hardest part. So I kind of started with mind maps. I had a list of products that were already out there, so I kind of had my list of no-goes, but I just started with mind maps, and I kept thinking about, having this daily focus, repeating, having a chance every single day to try something new, so I kind of had this like cyclical kind of words come to me, and so that's where I start. And I had just been to Mexico, so I started thinking about the ocean and the waves and kind of the reality and the joy that comes with that. Like there's this chance to begin anew every single day. So I kind of liked that it's an everyday planner, and Evertide kind of flowed from that.
Hi, Ashton.
Hi.
That's crazy. You are insane because I could never do such things like you do. But anyway. Did you ever, the last time I used a planner, I think, was at like NDSU. Have you looked into like schools and universities, like what they do for their planners, or put your planners out there for them?
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I remember the planner that I would get at high school, and actually the print shop that I have for samples, the Century High planner was there, and it brought back so many memories. But I think that would be a really cool market to go into. I don't know if the target audience would fit quite yet because it is a higher price point, but when I did share the idea, a couple local businesses were interested in doing like a custom planner for specifically their staff. So I think that could be a nice option to grow in the future.
I have a question. So you talked about handwriting something, and I've tried several planners over the years because I noticed that when I write it in my own hand, I remember it, and I actually remember how I wrote it, like my penmanship and everything, which has been a struggle for me to use the technological side of calendars. But as a mom and a leader in my workplace, I am very busy, so I want to make sure I capture all those things. But I keep going back to my Outlook calendar because that is what everybody uses, and I also don't like to write things twice. Mm-hmm. So I keep finding myself in this cycle of maybe every couple of years I try a handwritten calendar, and then 3-4 months I go back to my Outlook calendar only. But I feel like paper calendars are making a comeback. I see them a lot in meetings and whatnot. And personally, like I said, I would love to use one because I remember more, and memory is becoming a problem with all the things going on, kids and whatnot. So I would like to use one again. But how do you, how can you speak to that a little bit about the duplication? I sometimes feel like it's maybe a little inefficient that I have to put it in 2 places.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can share what I do because I use Google Calendar, which I think is similar to Outlook. I don't use Outlook specifically, but basically every Friday at the end of my week, I look ahead for the next week and I put in my events in my planner. So on the right side, I don't know if you guys want to pull it up, but on the right side, I have a schedule. So it's 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. of a schedule, and I can write stuff in. But kind of where Google Calendar has failed me is kind of that task or that project management kind of side of things. And that's where CoSchedule is amazing. But when I have that over here and this over here, I can't get that kind of bird's eye view of my full day. So it's been really helpful to have that on both sides, and so that I can see, if I have a full day in meetings, there's no way I'm going to get these tasks done, and vice versa, and then I can kind of reprioritize. So there is a little bit of duplication, right, where you're putting your events from your calendar into your planner. But I've seen more benefit from doing that, to kind of see it side by side with my tasks, than kind of the time wasted by doing that. So
kind of in the same, like you talked about, like that bird's eye view and organizing. So you've organized a lot of events. And so a lot of times when you're planning events, there's all these tiny details that people don't notice in the end product. Like they notice if it's not there beforehand and something's bad.
Yeah.
But so watching you go through this whole thing and like being like, well, what color do we do the spiral about? Like, and we were just like looking at all. There's so many options.
There's lots of
I
details,
like didn't know this world existed. So can you talk a little bit about like how you made all these very specific choices? Like you talked about the aesthetics, and then do you think people will notice if the like all of the work that went into it at the very end?
I don't think anyone ever notices. I mean, when you're
Be aware, spread the word.
I mean, as an owner, there's so many decisions that you make every single day, and like you said, people only notice the problems, right? So like when I release the planner, if there's a typo, I'm sure I'm going to hear about that way faster than, oh, I really appreciate the color of this, or you know what I mean? But yeah, there was lots of decisions and time that goes into it. The size is very strategic. It's 5 by 8. Immediately that was apparent both with online surveys and the beta group that this is something that people want instead of kind of that larger size. And then the hardcover was very strategic. I needed something that was durable, so if people toss it in their bag, because we have moms and business women that go, you know, purses and meeting to meeting, and then I knew just like branding in general, I wanted to keep it minimal and sophisticated, so that's kind of where the color palette came from.
Hey, Ashton.
Hey, Peter.
Hey. Ashton and I worked close together at CoSchedule, so I know how organized she is. But I'm curious to know, in your market research, did you find much out there that was comparable to what you're creating, or do you really feel like you are fulfilling a niche or a need that's beyond just maybe your local community here?
Yeah, a couple that I even used because I thought, like, oh, this is the planner for me, was the Day Designer. They're amazing. They have several options, similar hardcover, too many patterns for me. It's too large, but they do have that day-to-day planner. But again, I faced some of those problems where I'd only fill in half the page, even though I was having a successful day, like genuinely. And they didn't have like the weekly spread, which I also use for certain types of planning. There's I think Michael Hyatt, it has the high focus planner. That one's very targeted for entrepreneurs and it's very goal heavy, but every week they would have like 4 pages of reflection and goal setting stuff. And I just didn't, I mean, I do that maybe monthly, I don't do that weekly. So it seemed like wasted pages for me. And then the other one that I really love is Golden Coil. It's actually a customizable planner where you can choose your cover, you can choose what kind of layouts are in it, but they just didn't have the daily layout that I was like committed to. So I never ended up pulling the plug on that. And so that's why I do think that something like this, very specifically targeted for lady bosses or female entrepreneurs, could fill a gap in the market.
Hi, Ashton.
Hi.
I agree very much with Madison that this is really impressive that you've produced this in less than 2 months. So kudos to you. That's really fantastic. And as a detail lover and somebody that goes through the minutia of so many things personally and in the work life, I just want to give you a shout out that details do matter.
Thank you.
And so when you listed the color and the coil color, it's like, and my brain exploded inside. So thank you. And I think that somebody or the people, you'll find this by people that order the product. So the more people order it, the more they appreciate your effort and the time you took to design it so well. Not to make it look good, and then obviously all the things inside of it as well. So don't listen to the negative problem people.
Yeah.
It's the people that show you the support through the orders and the and just appreciation of your product. So that's what I just want to say. It's not necessarily a question. So there you go.
I appreciate it. Thank
Shout out to Dawn for using the word minutia.
you. Bonus points.
We don't hear that one enough.
I definitely agree with Dawn. I think your target market is going to appreciate your details because I feel like her and I are people that would be like, I'm really into this simplicity. Like, I think that I probably have picked my last 4 planners based off of how they look, which is not how you should do it. The one thing I guess when you were asking like pros, cons, what should I do if I don't hit my minimum? I want the planner. The only reason I haven't purchased it is because I would be much more gravitated towards a planner that I fill the date in on. That it
Oh, like
doesn't
an
have the
undated
dates.
version?
Mostly because my organization skills ebb and flow. And so a lot of times what I find with my planners is I'll be like really, really good for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then I will literally lose it for a week. And then I come back to it and I'm like, well, now I quit. Like, and I won't finish it because I'm like off.
Yeah,
Versus
yeah.
a dateless one, I could just be like, that week didn't exist. So that's just my one thought.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear because for the beta group in January, I actually had it undated, so I would have the day of the week, but I wouldn't put the date in there. And most of the feedback was like, oh, I really want it to be dated, and so that's kind of why I went that direction. But from a business standpoint, undated would be less risky because then it's not such a lifespan product. You know, like once those months are gone, they're gone forever. So, and it, yeah. Totally. And kind of the way that it works is you order X amount of covers and then you order X amount of interiors. And so right now, currently, I have a spring, summer, fall planner, so I can order 3 times the amount of covers because the cover stays the same. So quantity-wise and price-wise, it would be really smart and wise to do an undated. From the beta group, I was a little deterred from it because I didn't know if people would buy it then. So that's great to hear that there are people that would like that.
So I have a question. First, I'm going to piggyback on what Don and Madison said, that they were impressed. Ashton, I'm actually kind of annoyed that you launched this December 28th and have got it to this point in 2 months. It's ridiculous. So with planners, and there's a ton of different products out there, and I've done some research into this as well a little bit, and a lot of them seem to look as the planner as an access to a social network or a certain approach to content. And that you get kind of this premium content for buying the planner. It almost seems like you've been intentional in not doing that and just focused on, we're just a planner, and that's what this is, and we're maybe not creating content around it. So was that intentional, or has that been thought about as you move this forward, about how you maybe scale this beyond our local market here?
Yeah, great question. So I do really appreciate the goal-setting exercises that a lot of planners have in the beginning, or kind of the reflection things. And there is a reflection once a month in my planner, so there is that element of that. But for me, I love those things, but I don't want it in the planner that I have to carry around every single day. So I did create those resources, and I'm actually, with the pre-order, you get 12 free digitally friendly printables, because I know that we love our digital stuff. So it's not that it doesn't exist, it just is separate intentionally from the planner so that it's not little physical weight that you're carrying around with you all the time. So it was intentional, and the next couple months, I foresee creating more and more of those as kind of a library of free resources for people, because it's also a way that people can try it out and get organized with those first to see if the planner is something that they'd want to invest in.
So you were looking at a cost of about $40 per quarter. Is there a decision behind not doing an annual calendar versus the quarterly option?
Yeah, so with the quarterly planner, my page count is at 216 pages. Because every single day has 2 pages, I had to make the decision because I honestly think the max, like that you could get something, is maybe 5 to 6 months. So an annual option just wasn't in the, it's just not an option physically for the product. So I had to decide if I wanted to do a 3 or a 6 month, and 6 month really would be pushing it as far as weight and page count. And I knew that was one of the challenges that I was facing, is how do I create something that's kind of portable and easy to carry around for people. So that's how I landed on the 3 months. I would love to have this planner annually, because that would be great, because then people just buy it one time, and then you have your whole calendar together. But it just, with the product, we can't have that many pages.
Have you thought about maybe partnering with the Women's Business Center, with women who are going through the leadership program? I know planning is part, I believe, of their program, and doing that. Have you thought about partnering with them and talking to the women there?
Yeah, they're great friends of mine from Make Well Things, so we should certainly talk about that, because that would be great.
Who here hasn't partnered with Ashton in some capacity? Somebody raise your hand. And speaking of that, so you've done a lot of different entrepreneurial things and like events and type of, how does making an actual physical product differ from all of the other like endeavors you've gone through before?
Good question. I mean, it's a lot of work, and to me, it's just new and different. There's a lot of things that go in with the client process at the Good Kids. There's a lot of variables that go in with events, but it's just a whole new world, and it's an mostly online world. With events and clients, at least I get that face-to-face meeting, or you have the event and you get to see all these people that are just like having a good time. So it's been a little bit, the feedback process has been a little bit different because you don't get to see them in person. I am excited once the planner is here because then I can see people holding it and using it and like interacting with it. But so far I haven't got to have that like emotional connection with people, so that's been interesting. And selling a product is not easy. So I definitely admire and have a new admiration for everyone that does that.
Thank you again for presenting. I have a greater appreciation now for planners and planning. I myself, I have a fear of planning. I don't write the best descriptions of things that I have scheduled, months out. I'll scribble a quick note on a Post-it note, and then I'll let it hang in my truck, and I hope the glue will stay, for the 2 months before the appointment comes up. Would you offer maybe some type of instruction on how to, I know there's not a proper way to schedule, but I know there are individuals, not just myself, that we want to plan and have a nice tight schedule, but we're just not geared for that. I'm off in space more often than not, and a good planner, detailed is a good thing to stay anchored. But that was my question: is for the people that are the ones that are disorganized, what would be your advice on how to get into planning and not be overwhelmed by the concept of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would love to do some sort of webinar or class kind of explaining just organization tips in general, and that is also why I have those kind of free resources online too, is because that's kind of a nice transition into that. But I think, with anything, practice makes perfect. So I think starting every day in some capacity is kind of the first step, whether that's just making a list in an app on your phone and kind of starting there and kind of easing your way in. Because my planner is definitely a deep dive. It's someone who really kind of already, not that you have to have your planner already, but it's someone who just really wants to go hard into organization. So I would start just with a list app on your phone, maybe try some free resources online, and then I would love to teach and speak more to the organization stuff.
Post-it people unite.
Yes.
It's been a process. And that's the cool thing too is you immediately surrounded yourself with people and you started this beta group. And then you did do a couple Facebook things where you walked us through it, which was nice because it was very intimidating to me as a person. Like I said, we always have to, what's the plan? And it's okay, we got to go to Target and then we got to go do that. Oh my God, when's lunch? We forgot to plan lunch. So we're very much in the moment, but then your planner too also has these relationship goals, community goals, you have these things listed out. And then meal planning, which is something I'm not great at yet. So can you talk about too, immediately you surround yourself with people and how you determined what kind of things were important to focus on with your planner?
I can maybe speak to some of the changes that I made from their feedback. So right away, I had it undated, and then as we talked about, I made it dated. Before, because I'm not a morning person, I had it 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and everyone's like, I wake up at 4 a.m. And I'm like, who are you? But they do. so then I adjusted and I did some research, and most planners start 5 to 6 a.m. if they do have an hourly schedule. So with the layout and it being smaller, I was slightly limited, but I did get it to go to 6 a.m. A couple people wanted a few more to-dos in the to list. I think I had 5 or 6 before, and now there's 7. I know that they would love 20, but practically who has, you can't get that much stuff done. So intentionally kept it to 7. There were a couple note sections where maybe it was blank or lined, and then people told me they kind of preferred the dotted grid. So just kind of small adjustments like that people actually really cared about. So.
Ashley, one thing you brought up in the presentation is that October and November is planner season. That's not a term I've heard before, and I would guess that it's October and November. Why is that, or how did you find that?
Just naturally with the new year, everyone's looking to get organized, to hit their goals, to set a theme for the new year. So around probably like Thanksgiving time is probably like prime time, but planners usually build up to that, maybe like after Halloween to Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving to the end of year is when they probably get the most of their sales. And then I've even noticed by the end of January, you're already getting 30-40% off discounts to planners. And those are annual planners, but
That's more my time. I'm still figuring out my 2020 goals right now. So that's,
so that's
I'm
kind
in planning
of
season
the
right now,
window,
but yeah.
which unfortunately I'm past that, so I'm trying to decide, what does this year look like, and do I build into that, or what that looks like.
Can you also talk into the pricing strategy? What went into that $39 per quarter? If you look at competition out there, your cost of goods also come into play with this initial short run of binders. Are you projecting a higher cost of goods, of course? So is that like your end price point, or is that just for this initial sale, do you think?
So $39 kind of came from a couple of things. One, for the research of the 90-day planners, most of them did range $40 to $60, which was surprising, but good to see, just because they are more specific and for driven individuals that really want to get organized, but also cost of goods. So like I mentioned before, the interior costs so much, the cover costs so much, and then there's your shipping, which is $4 to $8, your packaging. I would love to have some sort of brand touch point card in as like a mailer when you deliver the product. So 100 was kind of my goal, because that's where I would be slightly profitable. If I order less than that, it's a matter of splitting even. So it's all about quantity. If I could order 300 to 500, I could probably, make more and charge half the price. So for this first run and getting it out there, it's definitely not going to be profitable. It's going to be a split even is kind of the goal. But it's exciting to know that if I could find a different vendor, if I could reach more people, that it could be something that's profitable.
My entire social calendar revolves around Halloween, so.
It does, that's true.
It is. So can you kind of touch on, so you had this problem, and you're like, why don't I make my own? And then all of a sudden you're like, let me make this for everyone. And maybe it's because I'm like a selfish introvert who's also a procrastinator. But how did you decide that you're like, if I have this problem, a bunch of people have it. I'm just going to make this for everybody. Like, instead of just doing it for yourself, you're like, I'm going to take on this thing.
Well, that was my intention, was to just make my own. When Caleb asked me that question, I never was going to make it for anyone else. It was just going to be for me, because obviously I have enough going on. But then really, when I had that first Instagram post and saw the immediate response, I have never experienced that before with anything I've ever done. So that kind of made me take a step back and think, maybe there is something to this. And I knew from co-schedule experiences and other past side hustles that it's super important to test it out before you put your heart and soul into it. And so I just kind of took that next step. And honestly, this whole process has just been taking one step at a time, because I'm really trying hard not to get too attached to it, because if it fails, that's fine. And I learned a lot from it, and now I understand the product space. But yeah, just taking one step at a time, and so far it's landed me here. And I do love organization, and I do love design, so it's kind of a nice surprise child.
Surprise! I can't think of a better person to have this surprise child than you. All right, any more questions? Okay, you want to close it out?
Sure. Ashton, thanks so much for taking the time with us this morning. Thank you for everything you do in Bismarck, Mandan to connect our community and all the good work you do. But last question we ask every week, of course, is how can our 1 Million Cups community here in Bismarck and Mandan help Evertide move forward?
Yeah, so today is the last day of pre-orders, and I'm currently at 35 planners, and so every planner that's purchased counts to helping me make that kind of next round. And so if this planner isn't for you, totally fine, because it is a very specifically designed for lady bosses. But if you could share it with a lady boss or a female entrepreneur in your life, or even a mom who's just rocking life and cares about her schedule, that would be amazing. So we're on Instagram and Facebook as Evertide, or our website is evertide.co, and if you could support us in that way, that'd be great. Yeah.
Do I got a 37? 37.
I would love that.
I'll practice. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for coming to 1 Million Cups. If you want to be on the stage, you can apply to present. Next week we have the True Ice Cream of the Future, Lottie Dot.
Ooh.
That sounds refreshing. All right. Thanks, everybody.